My name is Sarah Brown, and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
I'm Daniel Brown. I'm William's father.
Both Daniel and I, our parents are kind of in favor of homeopathic medicine. We both grew up with vaccines being not emphasized.
I think there is logic to not get vaccinated as well.
I've been vaccinated since birth. My husband was vaccinated when he was 19 for anything that he may have missed. When William was born, both of us felt like we needed to look into it a little further because we weren't sure what side was right.
The whole entire thing.
William is his name. He loves people. He'll never take a nap if there are people around. He's a really chubby kid. He really likes books, baby books. He chews on them, but we like to believe that it's a sign of future intelligence.
No problem. You're welcome.
It's hard sometimes to get past parents' fears. They don't want to, they see their beautiful little baby. They don't want to put any needles into that baby.
I don't know, I feel like there's lots of good evidence on both sides, which kind of makes it hard.
The bottom line is nothing has been studied as much as vaccines.
You can always do more research and uncover things.
It's been impossible so far for us to feel really good about making the step absolutely in one direction or another.
Like I said, I keep on going back and forth.
And so for me, some of the illnesses I'm less likely to vaccinate for, like chickenpox. I had chickenpox as a kid.
Yeah, I got it as a kid, you probably got it as a kid. Pretty much everyone got it as a kid back in the day.
Some of the sickest kids I took care of as a resident, in fact, were ones that had had natural chickenpox and then got a secondary infection as a result.
Parents don't want to have their kids out of school for 2 weeks. That's a long time to take a kid out of school if they get chickenpox during the school year, or they need to go to work. It's convenience.
And we do know that the disease, if you get it as a teenager and adult, is very serious compared to getting it as a kid.
Hepatitis A and B are ones that I don't feel the need for him to get.
Yes, hepatitis B is a sexually transmitted disease, but there's also cases of it that we don't really know why it happened.
Flu vaccine is one I'm actually a little bit more passionate about in terms of really thinking I would never get it.
So the flu shot doesn't really work that well as far as I've seen.
There are times like this year, the match was less than 25%.
And it's kind of just a shot in the dark.
But still, the kids that got immunized if they had the flu were a lot less sick than in years when they haven't been immunized and got influenza.
And the flu's not that bad.
Then the question becomes, how bad is that sickness?
Obviously there are some dramatic consequences that can happen where people do die from them. But then, I mean, people do die because of vaccinations too.
You know, I just wish we were convinced. I just wish that we didn't worry, that maybe he was going to be, that tiny, tiny percent who had some terrible reaction.
Parents in general always want to do what they think is best for their kids. Yeah. And those that don't want to vaccinate are thinking that they're making the best choice that they can for their kids. Nobody's doing anything out of malice.
It's all about fear.
I've seen enough frightening things.
As scary as the diseases are that vaccines prevent,
I don't want to see those things that can be prevented.
I can't support the idea of taking away liberty, taking away this freedom to choose that we've been given.
You should be able to choose as an individual and as a parent.
Simply put, I'm absolutely opposed to having it mandated.
They think Syracuse, upstate New York, we're relatively sheltered.
It seems like the chance of getting one of those diseases is very low, living in the area that we live.
Especially here in Syracuse with SU, there's a lot of international students. Diseases are a plane ride away.
It almost feels like another Cold War scare, the vaccine debate.
I guess you could argue that the vaccines, while they prevent some diseases, really a lot of the nutrition, hygiene, all of the better eating that we have has done maybe more to prevent these diseases.
So why are we immunizing about these things they haven't seen? And it's because we immunize that they haven't seen them.
But we just want to have a solution to everything, and people will sell you a solution to anything.
I think it's easy to just shoot people down and say, this is what we need to do, this is the immunization schedule, you need to follow it. You need to be a little understanding as a parent too.
It's the number of vaccines that are recommended/required, and how early on they're given.
The vaccines are better made, they're more purified, and they produce a much better immune response at a lower dose of things than before. How do you live with regret that your child gets sick and seriously ill from a disease that you had every availability to prevent? That's kind of hard to live with.
Just the thought of choosing to subject him to something that might possibly injure him in many ways is scarier for me than the possibility that he might get sick from something that I didn't deliberately do.
I've never seen measles. I've been in practice for 22 years. I've never seen it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Talk to our grandparents, like everyone got measles, got mumps, got the whooping cough, and then they have lifetime immunity, and they're fine.
And a lot of the other things that you're reading online are things that haven't been tested, a lot of hearsay, a lot of garbage actually.
Vaccines haven't had the success that people think they have.
You can't just Google vaccinations and get realistic information there.
I would say both sides have information. Honestly, the pro-vaccine side, they present their information much better. The anti-vaccine people, they're looking at studies or looking at situations and drawing their own conclusions rather than doing their own studies, which doesn't mean that their conclusions are necessarily wrong, but I think that they don't have the same degree of scientific knowledge supporting their hypothesis.
Vaccines are just probably a small drop in the bucket.
The people who are anti-vaccine have managed to raise just enough of a question that I can't feel totally and completely 100% at peace with vaccinating William.